Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Tinley Park, Village of Tinley Park Zoning Board of Appeals. We will start, if everyone will stand, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that all went really well. Lori, can we take the roll call, please?
Board Member Bettenhausen.
Present.
Board Member Paschek.
Present.
Board Member Vargas. Board Member Truxell.
Present.
Board Member Marak. Chair Sapesi.
Present. Okay, having done that, do you guys have any communication for any of us? Anybody have anything that items that we need to worry about? Okay, the only thing I have, of course, is the notification to the media about the newspapers, that is, about tonight's hearing. And I understand you have a sign on your property that you just found out about. Okay, well, that takes care of that. We're gonna go ahead and move forward with the reapproval of the minutes of the last meeting. Does anybody have anything regarding those changes or anything, or can we go ahead for a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the last meeting signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, we have one hearing tonight. This is a public hearing about a storage shed size variation for Daniel Jerzik, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, at 19330 Edgebrook Lane, right here in Tinley Park, of course. And it reads, consider recommending that the village board grant Daniel Jerzik, property owner, a variation from section 3.1 of the zoning code, accessory structure and uses, at the property located at 19330 Edgebrook Lane in the R2 PUD single family residential Brookside Glen PUD zoning district. This variation would permit the petitioner to construct a storage shed of 448 square feet where a maximum of 200 square feet is required. So, I'd like to have a motion to open the hearing, please.
Move.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all those in favor of opening the hearing signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we will begin, and we'll begin as usual with Dan. Or, I'm sorry, Lori? I'm sorry, Lori, I won't do it again.
Okay, so the public hearing for this evening is for the storage shed size variation at 19330 Edgebrook Lane. The petitioner, Daniel Jerzik, is here tonight, and I'll proceed with my presentation. He'll be available to answer any questions if needed. Here's a photograph of the front of the property as seen from the street. So you can see this is a single-family dwelling with a 3-car attached garage. A bit of background on the property. So this is a relatively large lot. It is over 20,000 square feet. It's irregularly shaped with a narrow 77-foot frontage. It's located in the Brookside Glen Unit 1 subdivision, a relatively recent subdivision platted in 1996. It is developed with single-family homes, and the property, as I mentioned, has a 3-car garage. In the rear yard, there's an existing open metal fence. On the property, there are some unique characteristics in regards to easements. There's a 10-foot easement along the rear and a 5-foot easement along both sides of the property. Currently on this property only exists the principal structure. There are no existing detached garage or shed. You can see from the map here, the property identified in red with its surrounding context. So for zoning, you can see the property again with the overlay of the R2 single-family residential zoning district. That zoning district has a minimum lot size of only 13,000 square feet. This applicant has a larger yard, exceeds that by over 7,000 square feet. It's located within the Brookside Glen planned unit development, and the nearby properties are zoned R2, which appears in yellow, And to the northwest, abutting the rear, is owned by the Frankfurt Square Park District. So that consists of open land and Union Creek. There's also a pumping station to the north, and to the west, further, is the ComEd overhead power lines. You'll see that the lot is a unique shape, and it's irregular, so its configuration partially explains why it is exceeding the minimum lot area by so much. So here are some property views, combination of photos from the applicant and myself upon viewing the site. Up in the upper left, importantly, is the view from the front property line. So this is what would be seen from the right of way. And then to the right is, going further back into the property, a view looking to the northwest, straight back in the property, along the open fence, which is at the northeast property, the right side of the property. And then below is a nice panoramic that the applicant has provided that shows a 180 view of the yard as viewed from the back of the house. Here are a couple of additional views. The one on the left is looking east, so the home that you see on the right is the subject property, and the structure you see beyond that in the rear center would be the neighbor. And to the right is an additional back view of the property, viewed from the back. So the variation request, to clarify, it is a 248 square foot variation. And this is from two sections of code within the village, from section 3-I, which is residential accessory structures, and the building code, section 313 of the Tinley Park Comprehensive Building Code. And the variation is to permit a 448 square foot storage shed instead of the 200 square foot maximum. So for permitted alternatives, so technically by code, the homeowner could meet code by doing a home addition or an attached garage addition or a detached garage. However, please note the property does have existing physical limits. As noted, it is an irregular lot shape. It has narrow frontage with a narrow, in particular, a narrow northwest side setback of less than 10.5 feet, as well as the easements along the side and rear. So the applicant has clarified the intent of the proposal. Currently, the applicant has been using contractors for lawn maintenance. He desires to personally maintain it. However, this additional equipment will add to the storage needs. In specific detail, the equipment would be for, the space would be needed for the lawn maintenance equipment and overall storage. These include things I've listed up here: riding lawnmower with bagger, fertilizer spreader, fertilizer, snow blower, yard tools, and yard waste barrels. Applicant has noted that to be a well-designed structure, it's ideal to be a well-designed structure that doesn't look out of place in the residential area. He also does not wish to run a driveway for a detached garage. This alternative option of a detached garage is challenging due to the use is not for vehicles, and the detraction from the site and structure would not be compatible with its surroundings, and there's just limited space for the driveway. We mentioned detached garage as an option because by code, that permitted alternative, that would be a permitted 720 square feet. The proposal details is specific in the dimensions, 28 by 16 feet, totaling 448 feet, to be located in the rear of the property, 11.5 feet away from the northeast side property line, and over 30 feet from the principal structure. The proposal will comply with other zoning requirements, such as the maximum height of 15 feet, the minimum 10 feet setback from the principal structure, and the 5 feet accessory structure setback. Due to the proposed location, as I showed from the photo before, it will not be in prominent line of sight of the right-of-way. Also, Village Fire Department has reviewed this proposal and does not have concerns about the shed, given the large setback from the house and the compliance with the other building code requirements. This is a diagram drawn on the plat of survey showing In blue, the existing easements. In green, showing the permitted front and rear side yard setbacks. And the orange would be where the proposed shed is to be located. So this is a photo that the applicant provided with an overlay estimate of where the shed might lie. And this is a sample option of what the shed design could be. So please note that the siding and roof line is intended to match the house. The applicant is in the process of looking to reside his house and to purchase enough materials to cover both the house and the proposed storage shed. And that concludes the presentation. I have the standards available to present. And as I said, the petitioner is here to speak and answer questions.
Okay, first off, does anybody have any questions for Lori? No? Okay, did you want to speak? And we can maybe ask you questions? And
Yeah, sure. Do I go first here, sort of thing? Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, I gotta swear you in first, I'm sorry. I just got reminded. Raise your hand, please. You swear that the testimony you're going to give before this commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Don.
All right. So, Dan Jerzak, obviously the property owner, and I want to put a shed up that's bigger than normal for riding lawnmower and a bench to plant flowers and do some work. If I could touch on one thing in the presentation, well designed, I guess that might need some defining there. I married into a family of carpenters, so it should be well designed. So if that helps, and then also where it's going to be on the property. When I had the fence put in, I know that there's no utilities running there also. So if that is any help to the case, I would mention that. And basically that's it.
The, when I was looking from the front, past the caddy down the yard, it looked like the backyard slopes.
It does. The 2 yards come down. It's about a 2 foot.
Okay, and what kind of provisions are gonna be made for?
It would be leveled, obviously. Water does collect there now, so I would do some drain tile, something to prevent that. I started using rain barrels for the house. I'd probably use them on that too to help with water, so try and fix that issue.
Other questions, guys, anything?
I have one. So this design that I see the picture of, the option, is that what you intend to build?
I don't have anything set in stone, just because I didn't know if I was getting approval or anything, but actually looking over it today with my wife, like, that is kind of nice. So something pretty similar to that, maybe barn doors on the front. I would definitely match the siding of the house.
Windows?
You know, yeah.
The dormer?
Yeah. I think I would stick with that, but I'm kind of on the fence with maybe the barn doors in the front instead of an overhead door, so, you know, we're kind of up in the air.
How tall is that building in the diagram, do you know?
I'm sorry?
How tall the building in the diagram?
I have the
Picture.
actual
Specs?
catalog that came out of it. I don't know the specific dimensions.
Well, it was stated that you intend to stay within the 15-foot.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
looks like it's about 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12 or 13, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to count.
Figuring
from the
that's a
road.
Oh, I
seven
was too.
foot.
It's like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
7 or 8 foot garage door, then yeah.
Right, okay.
I would obviously adhere to the shed stuff. I'm not gonna, you know, do a 2-story extra living quarters or something.
Okay, anybody else got any questions?
Have you run this by your neighbors? Do they have any objections to the large structure?
No, I talked to both neighbors, people from the front really can't
Get
see
along
it.
with everybody? Is there- it's not
They're
gonna be-
fine with it.
Okay.
One neighbor can't see it at all. The other neighbor, it's, you know, from looking out of his house, he can't see it, so.
So the side that faces the neighbor that can see it, is that just gonna be a straight wall with no windows? Is it?
Well, figuring that it's gonna be level, there's gonna be some landscaping there.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't wanna look at a wall either.
Okay,
Right now, there is an apple tree that's about yay high there that I kinda don't wanna get rid of. You know, I mean, there'll be some sort of landscaping.
yeah, I think that'd be good if you
Yeah.
dress up that side of it, so it's not just a 28-foot
Right,
wall.
a
that
wall,
All of
yeah.
a sudden, there's, because you got a nice yard, you know, they look at the nice yard today, and then, that was my only question. so.
It's an open
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
I'm looking out, I'm
Yeah.
looking open.
Yes.
Now something else is in. Why not the other side of the property?
That would take away from my view.
I got you.
And then also that's where all my, I believe that's where my my storm water goes on that side, cable, power.
Gotcha.
So that would be a headache I just don't wanna deal with. digging
Yeah, if this is the
stuff-
clear
stuff
side,
in
that
there.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Dan? No. Okay, do we wanna go through standards?
So I'll read the first three standards as shown on the screen above. The property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Staff response and findings reads, while the property can yield a reasonable return while meeting the code, the property is uniquely large and has existing lot and building constraints, making permitted alternatives difficult to achieve or less desirable and appealing to neighboring properties. Number two, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. Staff findings, the subject property exceeds the minimum lot area of the zoning district by approximately 7,266 square feet, allowing adequate space for the proposed storage shed. Other accessory structure types of the proposed shed size are permitted at the proposed location. Number three, variation if granted will not alter the essential character of the locality. Staff findings, due to the size of the lot and the proposed setbacks, the storage shed is not expected to detract from the residential feel of the overall neighborhood. Storage is proposed to be set back behind the home from the property yard front line, and thus visibility of the structure from the right-of-way will be limited. The petitioner proposes siding and a roof line on the storage shed to match the new siding to the home. Additionally, the shed design is residential and complements the residential feel of the property and area. On this slide is the fourth standard, which has several subsections. I can go over them if you like, but that concludes standards.
Okay. All right. Any questions, you guys, regarding the standards?
No.
Okay, if I can talk, that'd be better. Okay, at this point, we can close the hearing and ensue discussion. Have a motion to close?
Move to close?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of closing the hearings, we'll go to discussion and motion. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, very good. Okay, so what's everybody got?
A question for staff. Are we looking at a question of semantics here? If we call it a garage, he's entitled to 720 square feet. If we call it a shed, he's entitled to 200 square feet. The fact that it's unattached in the backyard, and I drove by the lot today too, and it's a big lot, and I'm glad I don't have to cut his grass. 'Cause it's a hunkin' sized lot. So there were 3 variations mentioned in the write-up. One was anywhere from 21 to 30% over allowance that were approved, and those were for garage variations. The size of these three variances was less than the size of the shed or garage that he's proposing. So if we do call it a garage, it's not an issue. If we call it a shed, we're here to discuss it.
Yeah,
Is
we
that-
just can't, it goes by the definitions of those, right? So the only detached accessory structure that has additional size regulations is storage sheds. But like, so a garage would be permitted there, but it would have to have a garage door within a certain size, it needs to be a driveway, so it would have to meet the definition of what a garage is. It's not that, it's a shed, but if he was gonna comply with everything for a garage, we would.
And it's compliant in every other area.
Yeah, so it's kinda odd, I kinda questioned the code there myself. I think the point was to be, if you're gonna have something that's truly just for storage, to try and limit it a little bit, so you don't have a 720 square foot storage shed. That's really just all storage. Now, some people use their garages as that anyways,
Yeah.
but I think that was kind of the intent, is you're not gonna have 720 square feet of combustible material storage. But at the end of the day, we can't also regulate what people put in the garages, so
No, we
they
can't.
could do that for them too. But I think that was the intent behind it, I don't know, it is kinda odd that you could have a garage right here, if it met the definition of a garage, but you can't necessarily have a shed or
Is there any precedent been set here for this type of structure, Dan, or Lori?
I don't think there's anything that we found that really went into this. It used to be purely in the building code, and when there was a building committee at the building board, they actually would have went through that process, which is kind of a problem because there's no ordinances and nothing to really easily track those. But we didn't find any history of it, not to say that there couldn't be some out there, because of that. That's why it goes through this process now, if we can,
That's
going
kind,
forward, we have evidence, you know.
that's kind of unusual for us, we usually have a fallback.
But there really isn't a
Okay.
history that we found.
Does anybody else have any
I-
questions or comments?
I couldn't see a lot of other sheds out in that neighborhood, in that particular curved area there, of Edbrook or whatever it's called, the street. Are there a lot of other sheds out there that I missed, I couldn't see, because I couldn't get behind them, of course?
I'm not sure.
On the way in, on one of the other streets, I think it was actually on Lakewood, I think I saw a shed, but it wasn't of this size, and it was just a cookie cutter Home Depot shed, whatever.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any this size. I'm not sure, there's not even too many detached garages out there, not to say they wouldn't be allowed to build one. But yeah, there's not too many detached accessory structures out there now. It's a little bit newer subdivision, so that might be part of it.
I think code for that subdivision was attached garages.
Yeah,
'Cause my
I mean,
sister
by
and
the
brother-in-law
time that
went-
was constructed, that was kind of
Yeah.
the norm of what people want, so there wasn't too many detached. Now, they still have a right to if they can meet the code requirements. But there hasn't been too many sheds or garages out there, but they're permitted.
My concern is, like the chairman said, and Robert said, is we're looking at 225% variation from the code. And while I think that it fits this property, I don't know if there's others that it's going to fit or could fit in that area even, or other areas. And we could be establishing a precedent that could be
Yeah, and I thought about that
longer-term
too, but
danger.
then again, if someone else comes along with a lot size as big as Dan's, you would understand that a shed like that would fit. If we tried to put that on my lot, I may as well just build another house, because my lot is significantly smaller.
Correct.
So,
And-
if there's a precedent set, it's set on the basis of a larger lot. Am I?
And
close
that's
to-
what the standards are really for. So like when you guys adopt those standards that we're kind of going through, those run with the ordinance they run with the variance here. So those are really, that's why we do those so specifically, is those are kind of set there, so if somebody goes, well, because everybody does point to the thing, right? Okay, they have a much bigger shed, if they have a much smaller lot, we go, well, here's how they were found out to be unique, how it fit in with the neighborhood, and what their hardship was. If they didn't meet those, then there really isn't a precedent set. You'd have to meet all of the standards that.
There was a precedent set some time ago on the east side of town, on 67th Court, I think it was, about 171st. Guy wanted to put up a two-story shed, and I think actually he got it because the footprint wasn't gonna be that big, but that was a smaller lot, significantly, so you probably remember this.
I think
It was a
it's
significantly smaller lot.
on the corner too.
It was a corner, or was it first in, but it was gonna be in the corner of the property and stuff, and it was allowed. It certainly wasn't the square footage of this, but it was bigger than the allowable. I think it was
It was taller.
300 square feet. I don't-
Yeah, that was during my term.
Yeah, and each one of those, again, you guys each look at each one as,
Yeah.
here's what it is, and
But-
I don't even like the term precedent, because if you guys say, we granted this before, and it was built and it was a huge mistake, the board or you guys could say, maybe we learned our like, okay, we granted it, it caused problems, so now we're not gonna grant it going forward. So you're not necessarily stuck to,
I think,
granted this once in the village, and now we have to do it, but.
I think when we make the motion, we could also not add to the motion, but as a basis for our motion, we're relying on this particular lot size, this particular location, the impact on the neighbors, and our findings being that all of these factors we find to be unique to this particular property, so that other people would have to have those kind of unique factors also.
Sure.
Correct?
I would recommend maybe, if you think there's any clarification that needs to be done in the standard, we just clarify that beforehand, and we can update those. I wouldn't make it necessarily part of the motion, but if you think there's anything else that needs to be stronger in the actual standard, we can certainly do that.
I'm thinking that
Where
the
are you at
standard,
with that?
the standard with the lot size, the minimum was 13,000, is that right, Lori?
That's right.
And our lot size that we're dealing with here is a little over 2,000, or 20,000. I think we've actually set the tone right there. Maybe we don't need to do a lot of addition.
Yeah,
when
and it
this-
does, the standards do really specifically call out how much bigger it is than the minimum
Yeah.
lot sizes.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we need to incorporate that. Not
Yeah.
in the motion, but in our findings.
Yeah.
If we find that the standards set forth in the petition and in the staff's report.
Yeah,
Add-
we
add
just don't want you to
support.
read all these again, cause she already did
No,
it, but
I
that's
wanna-
why we say you adopt the findings. And
Right,
then
that's
these
what I'm
carry
saying, right.
into the ordinance and everything else, so these, what you adopt here lives on, is essentially your guys' reasoning for adopting.
Correct.
For recommending
Okay.
something. If
I-
you
yeah, I
were
just
not
wanna make sure we
recommending
don't
something,
ignore
this
it.
would say, this isn't unique, this has,
Uh-oh.
you know, no tie-in to the neighborhood.
That's, were you looking at the fourth standard?
The second and third for the most part.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm tracking with you guys, you know, it's like a percentage of the overall lot size, where we got a ceiling here,
Yep.
you know, that's exactly.
Not everybody can ask for it based upon that.
Exactly.
I mean, most of them would be denied almost on their square footages.
That's what we broke on 67th Court. We broke the altitude, the height. That's what it was. That's what the change was.
They were doing storage up there.
Yeah, they were doing storage or art room or
Okay.
something for
And
the
Dan, you're
kids,
saying it's kind of
playhouse.
covered in the standard, so.
Yeah,
We just have to
think
make
we're
sure
good
we
shape.
adopt the standards.
I think we're.
And
You
that's
guys are
what I-
welcome to, and you're always free to change those standards the way you guys feel it fits, but I think that was our thought process behind it and how we drafted them.
Yeah.
It calls out the lot size in number 2. and
Yeah,
number
I
think
don't
it's
have any
pretty specific.
specific concerns with this one, it's just, the next guy will want a 900 square foot shed or something, you know, it's just, where do you stop?
Mhm.
So,
And,
that's,
and the impact on the
My
neighbors.
first house.
Yeah.
All
was
of a sudden, I
smaller
don't
than
care about my
900
neighbors.
feet.
It's kind of the tough part about when we call out previously approved variations, because you almost need to see what all the standards were
But
for
I
each
get the
one.
feel I
and
have to have a
see
driveway and an overhead.
And the other, the
Those
other
are-
comment.
those are very clear cut.
I had one other comment, is that how do we make that this particular shed doesn't turn into 4 square walls with a door and turns into things that we're seeing on the proposed option, more like that particular floor plan or elevation?
If you want to word it that it needs to be substantially in compliance, and you want
I can do
to
that, okay.
describe that, if that needs the windows and the dormer, then staff can go from that description when they submit a permit.
Yeah, I don't think it needs all the double hungs and all that, but it's nice to have a couple windows there. I like the little thing on the roof, the dormer on the roof and things, and I like the garage doors and the sliding doors in the front. And everything on the TV says it's the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetically, the drawing that you just showed us is beautiful. If this is what you're gonna do, it's wonderful.
That's what's selling me,
Yeah,
is the elevation is very attractive and not going to be unattractive to the neighbors or neighborhood.
If I was a neighbor, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Right,
At all,
exactly,
right?
not at all, right.
So,
Okay.
I
Better
think the
than some of the
motions,
videos I've seen.
it calls out, it being consistent with the submitted plans, but if you want to note it's with the motion too, it should be substantially in compliance with the look.
so you have submitted plans that say there's gonna be aesthetics.
We're basically going off that example.
Okay, so I think we're covered.
I have one more
But I
comment.
think I
Okay,
have the
Buster.
idea of what you guys are looking for, and I get it, I think he's listening too, so he kinda understands. But I get your concern too, is somebody could show you that and then go to Costco and buy the PVC one and try
Right.
and put that up.
So is this going to also be restricted to simply being storage of yard equipment and not converted into a bar or other use or a pool cabana or something like that down the road?
It's
That's a
not,
bad idea.
it's
The
not
other one
allowed
talks
to
about what's in
be
the playwood
living
for the
space.
children
Yes.
above.
And there's not allowed to be any utilities other than electric run to it. We don't typically start prohibiting what you can and can't do in it, because honestly, our inspectors are never gonna be able to get into it anyways. So whether it's lawn equipment, and then the next owner goes, well, I want this to be a little pool house, and, you know, we'll put a little dry bar in there or something, it could become that. Eventually. So.
All right, any other questions or comments before we call for a motion? And we're gonna go ahead and call for a motion if anyone has one.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the village board grant the petitioner Daniel Jurzik a 248 square foot variation from section 3.1 of the zoning ordinance residential accessory structures and section 3.13 of the Tinley Park Comprehension Building Code to permit construction of a 448 square foot storage shed instead of maximum floor area of 200 feet at 19330 Edgebrook Lane in the R2 Single Family Residential Brookside Glen, PUD zoning district, consistent with the submitted plans and adopted findings of fact indicated in the July 8, 2021 staff report, subject to the following condition. No additional storage sheds or detached garages shall be permitted on the property.
Okay, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, now, do we want to make any additions or corrections or alterations in the motion as it is?
The one I wanted to make, I guess, is that the construction of the shed substantially materially matches the proposed elevation in the petition on page 4 of 6.
Okay. I can, if you want to, I guess, agree to
You have to
the
agree to
amending
second
the
that.
motion and include that.
You made the motion, do you agree to that
Yes.
addition? Okay.
Amendment, so I seconded it, so I agree, of course, to second it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then the other statement I'll make is that the motion is made and we find the findings of standards for the variation outlined in the petition to be the basis of our decision today. Correct? Something like that? You need that, or?
No, it's
don't
been
really need
already
that
in
in
the
the
motion.
That's a little
It
much.
was already kind of in that motion to
Yeah.
adopt those findings of
Right.
fact. as part of your.
Because don't forget, we've already got consistent with submitted plans and adopt the findings of fact.
Yeah, okay.
So
Just so I'm sure there's no
we're pretty
issue.
well covered there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else we wanted to do? I can't remember.
Well, I think we should maybe vote on the motion.
No, I mean, any other amendments that we needed to
I don't think so,
I
but
don't think so. I think we're in good shape.
do? Wait,
that,
I didn't have my
that's,
notepad.
that's
today.
up to you guys.
Well, so
Can't tell you
this
what-
is gonna go to,
The board.
the board, right?
Yeah, this goes to the
And
village board.
with Don's additional amendment, call it, how are they gonna read that? So if they look at this design, are they gonna expect it to look like that? Or are we saying, are we wording it
I said-
generally
I
so
said
it's elevation?
Substantially, materially
Okay,
similar
not
to
an
that
exact
elevation.
replica.
Yeah.
And then the,
Right.
We don't
then
wanna
the
design
staff
his
can
shed
do it.
for him.
No,
but
I don't want it,
conform
no.
to basically what this.
he might make it better.
Right, exactly. That was my only.
He's got a whole family of carpenters.
I perfectly agree with you then, so, no, I'm good.
Yeah, we're just saying substantially, materially of that. I don't care if it doesn't have double hung,
Yeah.
things like that that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But then when they gives the plans to to the staff, they can do it.
Yeah.
And if there's any,
This isn't even close, man, you know.
Yeah, so it's not even close, we essentially deny it, or so. it
Okay.
goes
Go back,
to the
try to
ZBA,
be
but
close.
I
That's fair.
think we, I
kind of like the
understand, I
the
think-
commercial developers.
Lori, could we call the roll? Or for the vote?
Board Member Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Board Member Paschek,
Yes,
Board Member Troxel,
Yes.
Chair Sapesi.
Yes. Okay, your motion for a variation or recommendation obviously is passed unanimously. There's a couple things with that. The next village board meeting where they're gonna read this and vote on it will be,
September 20th. I'll do a quick note that September 20th,
September
village board
20th?
meeting is actually gonna be at the Public Safety Firehouse
Do you
building.
mean July 20th?
Or, sorry, July 20th. Yeah, sorry.
He's gonna be gone for a month.
You'll be building during the winter, Dan.
I'm out of here. Yeah. No, yeah, so July 20th.
So it's gonna be a public safety.
Yeah, so it'll be at the firehouse and the public safety building outside of the downtown. So I'll just note that, we'll follow up with the petitioner and let them.
Right, and you're invited to go there to attend, but what they will be doing is reading our recommendation, your motion, or your petition, and acting on it that evening, because it was a unanimous recommendation. Okay?
Yeah, so we can follow up with you about the location and then the meeting in general. So,
Other than that, you're welcome to stay, and you don't have to stay, you're done, until the 20th. All right, sir?
All right, thank you guys.
Good luck.
Thank you for
Welcome.
coming down.
Yep.
I guess I could ask the public for comments at this time, but nobody, the phones aren't ringing off the wall, so no one's calling in.
We have no public comments.
So, do you wanna go ahead and give us some good of the order?
Sure. The last three variations that had gone before you guys, there was a garage setback, the Trinity Lutheran sign, and then the corner fence variation. All three of those were approved by the village board the last meeting.
That's good to know.
The next meeting, July 22nd, is canceled, so here guys, run of three.
3 and out.
Yeah, 3 meetings is all we have for now. So, besides that, I'll just note the boulevard's looking to start, getting occupancy soon for
I
the
like the
residential.
sign. Nancy hates the sign, but I like the sign.
I think
I
it's
think
in
it's
scale
cool.
of the building. I was a little worried about it, but
I think it's the whole ambiance is
I'm
just
not all
there.
I'm not all for the colors necessarily, but.
Well,
the-
there
the
was other
design-
comment on the Expo Online
Yeah,
about the colors of some of the stuff.
So
Yeah.
the boulevards, that's the new apartments.
That's the new
along-
building, the right across from Railroad.
yeah, the mixed use
Yeah, My
building.
son's interested in that, he's waiting to find out who to call, so he can get a place there, so.
Yeah.
To live, or
I-
do you got a
I know
business?
they have a waiting list going and stuff, so.
Is it really?
And they have a website up and running, if anyone's
I'm
looking
sure
over
he's
there.
watching for that. He has a condo across from the VFW now, right on Oak Park. He wants to sell that and start
Oh, I know.
renting at the new place, yeah.
Yeah, so I think by the end of the month, they're looking to start occupying the second floor, and then they're gonna work their way up from there. And they're already looking to get the plans in for phase 2 of that, which goes to the east.
When's phase 2? Is that next year?
I don't know, I think they kinda wanna start moving potentially this year,
They
even
have a
on the
list, yeah.
foundation and stuff.
I just hope they do something with the street around it because
Hmm.
it's pretty bad right now, but I know they can't do a ton because they're gonna do phase 2, but.
Yeah,
Those are perfect,
they,
right?
they actually paved the whole street now, so it
Did they?
is striped. So if you haven't been there in the last week, that's actually,
I actually
Gone.
haven't been down there in a week, so.
it's gone pretty far in the last week. so.
Good deal.
Besides that, they also have some commercial lined up for the building, so that's good too. And that'll lag behind a little bit, because they still have some stuff to finish up, and they'll have to do whole build outs for those spaces, but, it's good to see some interest there. That's
That's
all.
gonna make South Street a busy street
Mhm.
with the railroad there and everything.
Yeah, it looks good down there, though.
It's a good
They
look,
still
it
have
really
some
is.
They still have some things to finish up there and stuff, but it's good to see it still moving
It'll
along.
be manageable. I mean,
Absolutely. So why is the next meeting at Public Safety?
It's, the village board decided they wanted to do, I don't know, I can't put words in their mouth, but bring the village board meetings to the public instead of the public coming to them. So it'll be during the car show night too,
Oh, okay.
so, they're-
That's interesting.
yeah.
That is interesting.
I just learned about it too, so I just thought I'd mention it, since we're telling
That's
people to go to
interesting,
a
is
meeting.
right.
Yeah, so I think some of the details are still being worked out, but I think there'll be maps of where to park and where to access it. But I think it's just a way to maybe go to the public, have them experience the meeting.
You're talking about
Instead of saying,
173rd
"Here, come to the
place, right?
village hall, and
Yeah,
we're
the
gonna
old
do this
village
really
hall, yeah.
formally."
Yeah, you're talking about 173rd place.
Yes.
The
So
fire
just
first.
come to the car show and then go to the village board meeting. That's all good.
There you go. So,
Heck,
Interesting, yeah.
very. What else you got? Anything?
no, I think that's
We
it.
solved Brown's yet? Did we do anything there?
Did we what?
Brown's Chicken, is there anything solved there?
It's under contract, I don't know if it's formally sold yet, but yes, we have somebody pursuing that.
Very good. Very good. Avocado's looking better.
I know he's itching, I think
Banging
he's aiming for an
gavels.
August opening. Heard the scoop is pretty good for ice cream, so.
The what?
I said I heard the scoop is a pretty good stop for some ice cream, new ice cream shop.
I think the kids did that the other night. It was good, so. All right, well,
And the plaza will eventually get there, but it's still in litigation.
it is so ripped up.
Yeah, so.
So bad.
It's coming along.
What are they doing north, like behind where the Starbucks and Potbelly stuff are? Are they just re-landscaping or repaving, or they fenced it off like they're gonna build something?
They're just, I think they're realigning the parking lot and stuff, so the trucks that used to go to the back over there used to drive over the curbs, and they drove over all the landscaping, so as part of that redevelopment, because there's gonna be more trucks with Burlington and the grocer, they realigned that and kind of redesigned that back parking area.
So the access is gonna be a little easier.
Yeah, it'll be a little wider ability to turn. They also, there's some stuff that really annoys me when I drive through there, like there's just this little concrete area that bumps out, and it's all just not aligned.
Yeah,
right there.
exactly.
Well, plus the
Um,
fact
so they're-
lately,
They're kind of fixing that up, and then with the Floor and Decor, project as well, who's going into the old Burlington, they're kind of fixing their site. So from Menards all the way through, hopefully most of those weird missing stop signs and kind of realignments, a lot of that'll be fixed, not all of it, but
I think they really
it'll be
need to-
better than it was.
I think they need to look into somehow alleviating the drive-up line at Starbucks being so, Crazy long.
We got two coming, so two are approved, the one that'll be next to 7-Eleven on Harlem.
you know, maybe that'll ease up the pressure
And
on
then the
this
one
one.
on LaGrange too, so hopefully maybe those will take some of the pressure off it.
There's no
And-
discussion of widening Oak Park Avenue, is there? Emergency vehicles, police, fire, no.
No, for the most part, for downtown, so you don't want roads wider, you usually want them. It slows people down.
You want
and
them
people
congested so
probably already
people can
drive
see the
past
signs
them.
on the buildings. All right, anybody else got anything? Entertain a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second.
Second and a third, there go. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're done, we're off.
Outstanding.
Good job, guys.